Have you ever woken up, glanced at the red numbers on your crypto tracker and thought, hold up, did ADA just elbow its way into the cool kids corner? Same, right? That tiny little blip of green next to Cardano this week, it's not a glitch. Something big is brewing. Now it might just shock you, but I am not a financial advisor and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile and you could lose all the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. Your investments are entirely your own responsibility and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video today is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Okay, so that's the legalese out of the way. Let's chat like we're learning over a cafe table, right? Latte is cooling while charts are heating. Now, I've been tracking ADA since it felt like the shy kid at the school dance, awkward, promising, but always 2 beats behind Bitcoin's rhythm. Now, then, last Monday, while doom scrolling, I saw analyst Tim Warren drop these words, Cardano, bromance, and top 5 coin, in the same sentence. And you can cue the record scratch. Okay, so here's the nutshell. Cardano's founder, Charles Hoskinson, has apparently buried the hatchet with the XRP community. Yep, those guys, and is carving out a new footpath straight into the Bitcoin's liquidity mountain. So Ripple's latest sizzle reel literally flashes Cardano's logo like an Easter egg from a Marvel trailer, and suddenly everyone is whispering secret partnership. Now that's like finding your introverted lab partner high-fiving the star quarterback and the debate champ all at the same time. But why should we care? And it's because markets run by 2 primal emotions, fear and FOMO. And Hoskinson is stoking both of them. So if ADA can siphon even a drip from Bitcoin's trillions in idle liquidity, as the kind of lace wallet devs keep teasing, then we're actually watching a layer 1 network strap on a jetpack and XRP's ecosystem, right? You got to think of that as the super highway for cross-border payments. Plug Cardano's DeFi lanes into that traffic and you kind of get a toll booth printing fees faster than you can say total value locked. So let me kind of ground this in numbers, right? Thursday's mini flash crash dragged ADA down to 61.9 cents. By coffee time Friday, it had already clawed back to at least back 7% of that. Now, Warren points to the 0.50 Fibonacci level, roughly 66 cents, as a kind of trampoline that ADA keeps bouncing off of. Imagine slam dunking a basketball. That fib level is basically the hardwood, and ADA's legs basically look springy. Now, I hear the skeptics in the back muttering, yeah, but ADA's been kind of, bridesmaid before. It's true. Cardano's been promising smart contract fireworks since your cousin 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗀's kind of account, right, was active. Yeah, something's different here. On the kind of weekly chart, ADA is still flashing a buy signal with dozens of altcoins are leaking red, right? Positive money flow, reversal signals stacking up, momentum oscillators acting like they have inhaled an energy drink. It kind of feels like hopium. Or less like hopium, I should say, and more like we're standing near a kind of powder keg marked altcoin season, right? Taper steadily kind of burning away. So let's picture it, right? ADA at $1 by the end of June. That's a 49% sprint from where it is at the point of recording. Aggressive? Definitely. Impossible? No, Warren doesn't think so. And I'm inclined to agree, right? Provided Bitcoin doesn't faceplant and Elon Musk refrains from tweeting something that nukes sentiment for the rest of us, a guy can dream, right? But let's speak of sentiment, right? Have you peeked at Cardano's developer forums lately? It's kind of like a hackathon that forgot to end, right? The kind of Reeve upgrade slated to unlock Bitcoin bridged liquidity has devs salivating, right? Meanwhile, of course, TVL on Cardano-based DeFi quietly inched, past the $500 million mark, while headlines kind of argued over meme coins. There's a snowball that no one's noticing until it's barreling down the hill. Okay, let's talk about cross-chain charisma then. Cardano partnering with Bitcoin for liquidity is like your favorite indie band suddenly collaborating with Beyonce. Instantly, Spotify algorithms do backflips. Now, Ripple's kind of bringing the kind of regulatory clout and banking kind of hookups that ADA's been craving, while Cardano gives XRP developers a playground for smart contracts without the outrageous gas fees. So it's a kind of a match made in cryptographic heaven, or at least a decent first date. Okay, so here's a quick plug. If you want to dissect these partnerships in real time, you want to hop into our totally free educational Discord server. There's a link in the description down below. Right, we break down on-chain data, share war stories about failed kind of trades, and sometimes even argue over whether pineapple belongs on pizza. Spoiler, I don't think it does. My wife, she thinks it does. Now, everyone's going to ask, but what's going to be the catalyst? Let's think liquidity, right? Bitcoin is a value hoarder. Trillions is sitting there like dragons on gold, mostly untouched by DeFi. Now, Cardano's Lace wallet is building a bridge, right? Or the bridge, if you will, right? Just imagine moving Bitcoin's value effortlessly into ADA's yield farms. Now, that's not just fresh capital, it's actually credibility. If the Lace rollout nails UX, mum and pops hodlers who never actually left Coinbase might finally dip their toes, into Cardano pools, and as a result, TVL balloons. And then there's the XRP angle. Ripple's on-demand liquidity corridors already sling billions across borders. Drop Cardano's smart contract capabilities into that pipeline, and you can automate settlement, collateral, and lending all in one swoop, which central banks hate friction, by the way. All of them hate it. But all of these dreams, they require math. So to break the top 5, ADA's market cap must grow 288%. That would kind of shove price near $2.60. Pretty lofty, yes, but remember, Ethereum's leap from $200 to $4,000 was not linear either. Catalysts, they do indeed pile up, and sentiment flips overnight. Now, I remember 2017, right? Sitting in a cramped dorm room, mining random altcoins on a dusty old laptop. And ADA was a curiosity trading under a sense at the time, right? And if you had told me then that one day Cardano, Bitcoin, and XRP would share liquidity pools, I'd have laughed louder than my roommates who thought Dogecoin was a typo. Yet, here we are, right? Crypto is rewriting alliances faster than reality TV show contestants switch partners, which happens a lot. But let's go ahead and zoom in on June, right? Warren's thesis here hinges on 3 pillars: Fibonacci rebound at 66 cents, weekly buy signals, and volume-weighted money flow turning green, right? Now, if those pillars actually hold, ADA could actually moonwalk to $1 before you finish your summer beach playlist. Break one pillar though, and we could revisit 55 cents faster than you can mutter market volatility. So you might be thinking, what's my plan? Well, I can't tell you what to buy, right? I'm not a financial advisor, but here's how I think about things. I set mental checkpoints, right? One at 75 cents, another at 88 cents, and then a big kind of kahuna at $1. Each level, I kind of reassess volume, sentiment, cross-chain news. If Hoskinson announces a concrete XRP integration demo, well, that's a siren, right? If Lace Wallet experiences a smart contract exploit, that's caution tape, right? Staying nimble beats diamond kind of hands every bear cycle. Okay, quick commercial break. Because why not? Anyway, right, if you're considering dabbling in ADA, XRP, or anything alt season, then you probably need a solid exchange. So I'm going to say you should probably check out Blofin. Now, for full disclosure, the link in the description below is an affiliate link. That supports the channel here and keeps my caffeine supply unbroken. So use it if you're done with your research and you feel that Blofin actually fits your risk profile. You can always do some paper trading, some demo trading, and see how the UX feels for you. I personally like it, but you might not. So check it out and use the link in the description below if you want to support the channel. All right then, back to the charts, although I'm too lazy of an editor to actually bring any charts on the screen. If you've been around the channel for a while, you'll know that. Anyway, have you ever noticed ADA behaves like a responsible sibling at the barbecue, or family barbecue at this matter, right? It doesn't get drunk, and it doesn't spike volatility like Solana or Dogecoin. Instead, it kind of just sips water, watches the grill, and quietly doubles in value when no one is actually looking. Right now, that temperament is why big funds actually flirt with it. Right, they crave predictable, stochastic oscillators rather than meme-fueled roller coasters. But temperament alone won't secure those top 5 kind of bragging rights. Now, Cardano's kind of Achilles heel has always been perception. It's too slow, it's too academic, vaporwave, ghost chain, right? Now, Hoskinson seems to know it, right? Repairing relations with XRP's fiery community wasn't just kind of the hallelujah moment. It was a PR masterstroke, right? Ripple's people, right, are notoriously tribal. Win them over and suddenly your kind of Twitter threads, they swell with some of the loudest voices in crypto. That is free marketing, it is curiosity or courtesy, I should say, even after a handshake. So let me kind of paint a day in the life if ADA hits $1 this month. First, social feeds explode with kind of bogus predictions. $10 by Christmas, resist the kind of sugar high. The second will be that VC funds, that mocked ADA's pace, start FOMO buying at least kind of to rebalance their portfolios. And then the third one will be mainstream press publishing yet another crypto comeback article, just as you kind of consider trimming positions. Right? It's market irony 101. But meanwhile, of course, behind the scenes, yields on Cardano-based liquidity pools will tighten. TVL will jump, protocols scramble to audit code before kind of folks or, flocks of newbies kind of arrive, and gas fees kind of creep but stay tolerable. This is a refreshing contrast to Ethereum's surge headaches, right? If Lace's wallet's, Bitcoin bridge, does hold, well, we could witness the first wave of BTC Maxi Capital actually testing DeFi without abandoning proof of work ideology. And that's narrative gold right there. Now, every story needs tension. So here is the kind of bear case. 1. Regulatory thunderclouds. If the SEC decides DeFi bridges constitutes unregistered securities offerings, I don't think it would, but you never know. Gary Gensler might somehow worm his way back into the SEC. Cardano's cross-chain liquidity party might actually get gatecrashed. Then there's 2. What about Bitcoin volatility? Should BTC nosedive 20%? All ships will sink. Then you got 3, execution risk here, right? Reeves upgrade delays, right? What about wallet bugs or XRP partnership hype proving just to be smoke? Right? You must weigh both sides of the argument. This is not a Disney montage. It's the Wild West. And speaking of wild, do you remember when Donald Trump and Elon Musk's spat shaved billions of market cap overnight? Well, that era, the kind of we trade in, is kind of macro tweets, why I should say, in macro tweets matter, right? ADA's 7% rebound post-spat, impressed me. But resilience can vanish. Keep tabs on the macro sentiment here. US elections and, what's going on from a political standpoint, the Fed rate chatter, and yes, of course, Musk's meme mood. And amid all of this chaos, the one kind of guiding mantra here is that data beats drama. Warren's weekly chart buy signal is not a guarantee, but it is data-driven. Fibonacci levels, that's just math. Money flow index, well, that's more math. Hype, that is all noise. So we can enjoy the hype, memes are fun, but decisions deserve spreadsheets. And if you want to crunch numbers alone, that's fine, but If you don't, you want to join the free educational Discord that is linked in the description below. We've got channels nicknamed Chart Nerds Anonymous, right? We don't, but it would be cool, wouldn't it, right? Anyway, right, that is kind of where we would swap, you know, trading view setups and like grandma swaps casserole recipes, right? There's of course a lot of jokes that go into the Discord. It's well worth joining. It's zero cost, zero judgment, and 100% good vibes. All right, let's zoom out like outer space zoom, right? Cardano topping Bitcoin in market cap, highly doubtful, but climbing into the top 5. Picture ADA overtaking BNB or Solana amid a liquidity pout. Well, that's not insane, especially if Bitcoin ETFs draw institutional floodwaters and those funds trickle down via bridges. Well, money in motion tends to look for yield. So Cardano's DeFi farms may actually appear suddenly irresistible. And speaking of yields, right, Cardano's staking APY remains around 3 to 4%. It's modest but stable. Pair that with DeFi yields juiced by BTC liquidity, and you can craft an attractive risk-reward profile. You know, especially for investors allergic to wild gas fees. The translation here is that at least to translate it into simple terms, if ADA turns into a one-stop shop where you can stake, farm, and cross-chain hodl all without sacrificing or, you know, suffering transaction-based heartbreak, well, users actually could snowball. There's a lot of different things, and probably have to refer back to the disclaimer earlier, but you know, we do have a staking pool, well worth checking it out using the ticker 𝗕𝗓, and it helps support the channel as well. Okay, so it's story time. Last year, I threw a modest bag of ADA into a liquidity pool just to test the waters. The interface was pretty clunky, the ROI was a bit meh, so I kind of pulled it out. 6 months later, the same pool's UI looks like Apple designed it, and the APR doubled. So multiply that across dozens of protocols, and you can see why developer traction matters here. Better UX equals stickier capital. All right, climax time. Imagine waking up June 30th to headlines reading Cardano smashes through $1 barrier. Twitter goes bonkers, exchanges throttle, your aunt texts you, should I buy Cardano? And yes, I spelled that wrong, right? And it's spelled exactly the way that they would say it, right? She would say it exactly like that, Cardano. Anyway, if you are prepared, you're going to set your exit targets. You're going to be setting your stop losses and your mental health breaks. You're going to be golden, right? If you're chasing candles at 3 a.m., you need to sleep and maybe get a hug from grandma. Anyway, reflecting on the takeaways, cross-chain partnerships, they aren't just handshake photo opportunities. They're liquidity highways. Developer activity is the scaffolding and investor capital is the concrete. ADA is building both at a kind of moment when altcoin seasons may ignite. Now that doesn't guarantee fireworks, of course, but the fuse is actually visible at this point. And so that begs the question, where does that leave us? And personally, I'm curiously optimistic, like a cat approaching a new cardboard box, right? Curious, but aware that it might contain a cucumber. I don't know why my cat hates cucumbers. If someone knows, you can let me know in the comments. Anyway, you want to be setting alerts, you're going to be following fundamentals, you're going to want to stay nimble. And remember, right, those fancy candlestick patterns that won't pay your rent unless you act with discipline.